Hey Guitar Heroes, you ready to learn to play the Tapping Challenge 1? Of course you are, so let's just get into it. Alright, starting with the first section. I think that we all should know how to do trills pretty well by now. So trills are pretty much any time there's just two notes alternating between each other like you see right here. If you watch my very first video, just called Tapping and Trills, I show like 4 different ways to do it. So of course, like, you're always going to be holding the one note because like the way tapping notes work, the same as like hammer on and pull off. So when you hammer on is when you hit the yellow, and then pull off is when you let go of the yellow and then it activates green again, in this case right here. So all you have to do is just hold green, and as long as you're tapping yellow and letting go by the time it goes back to green, then that counts. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and it really just depends on the situation of the song. Let's see if I can get that out of the way. So when it comes to stuff like this, you can like alternate tap, like right, left, right, left, right, left, taking turns hitting the yellow button, or you can just like one-hand it, just go 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. If it's really fast, usually you'll either want to do it like alternating like this, or taking like 2 fingers and just like tapping both of them like that. This one's pretty tricky to do unless you get used to it. This is my favorite way. And then there's also like rake tapping if it gets really fast, where you just go like 1 2 3 1 2 3. You'll see like Asai especially do it, where he's just like sliding his hands like this. That's all he's doing. He's using as many fingers. He's trading off as many fingers as he can to hit that single note. But yeah, that's basically all of the trill methods. But I mean, when they're slow enough, you can just kind of one-hand it like this. Alright, now to the next one. Now I've heard these are called castles, I don't know. So, this, again, you're still just holding down a green, but instead of just tapping the same note over and over again, you've got a variety of different ones. Now, just take a look at this. It just goes 5 1 4 1 3 1 2 1 5 4, you know that over and over again. So, you'll see stuff like this a lot, where you'll have to just hold one note and then tap other patterns. Now when it comes to just single patterns like this, where it just goes 5 4 3 2, it's actually kind of fun to practice by holding the green and then using your tapping hand to hit 5 and 3, and then your other hand to hit 4 and 2. So it goes like 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2. So this is, and then you just do that in reverse once it starts going up. I mean, this is basically how Through the Fire and Flames starts. But doing the alternating like this really only works when it's, clean patterns like this. Through the Fire and Flames is nothing like this. So the way I would do Through the Fire and Flames is to just hold down the green, and then usually what I'll do is like, tap the red and then maybe the yellow with this hand, and then do the others with this hand. So it would like 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2 5 4 3 2. I mean, it's however's easiest for you. And now we'll move on to the next section. So right here we've got the reverse of that, but unlike those ones, you can't just hold down orange and then tap the other ones. It's kind of backwards. So with these ones, really don't even look at the orange notes. Like, pretend they're not even there, like just like you would with the green notes before. But instead of just holding the orange, you're just going to be tapping the orange a whole bunch of times, just repeatedly. It doesn't even matter if you tap it like extra fast. See, like, I can tap the orange as fast as I want, as long as I'm keeping up with the speed. And then all you got to do is look at the other 4 notes, and then just one hand back. it's actually really easy. So like this hand is doing nothing but just spamming the orange. And then, you know, my regular fretting hand is just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like they don't even have to be taps either. Because you're just moving your bass note up and down. So that part's pretty easy. Steps. Now this is a pattern I actually really enjoy, but I don't see very often. And it looks really weird. So I did them for a little while going down and then going back up. So I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. So when it's going fast, it can look kind of overwhelming. But really all it is, you know, 4, 2, and then 3, 1. And since you can just hold the 1, you just got to use this hand to go 4, 2, and then tap 3. So 4, 2, tap 3, 4, 2, tap 3. And then just do the opposite when it starts going back up. Because then you'll just tap and then go 3, 5. Anyways, these patterns are all very basic tapping patterns. Usually patterns like this are what gets you into tapping, which is why I put this whole sort of the collage together, I guess you could call it. Triplets down, here we go. So when it comes to triplets and quads and a lot of other patterns where it's just like a line, it's really all about sweeps. So you don't really need to think about going like 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Basically you just hold the green and then you just kind of do a swiping motion. It's like yellow, red, yellow, red. So as long as you swipe in that way, you know, as long as your fingers are graceful enough, you can really take care of these kinds of patterns. So when you go to tap them, I honestly really prefer these ones going down, as in 3, 2, 1, rather than 1, 2, 3, because I find it a lot easier to do 3, 2 on this hand. Like with this hand, I can go up and down pretty much the same, like the same speed and the same comfortability for the most part. But with this one, I have a much easier time coming down than I do going back up. I think it's because when you're going down, you kind of lean onto this side, which is where your hand is at, and you kind of just like, you know, lean into it. So yeah, this is what it would look like. And I included all of these like spread out triplets too, because it's good to just kind of work on, you know, stretching your hand and doing triplets more than just 3, 2, 1, because yeah, there's a handful of different hand formations. There's like 3, and then there's 1, 2, 4, you know, like that, or then there's like 1, 3, 4, and then there's like 1, 3, 5, and then there's 1, 2, 5, and 1, 4, 5. That's pretty much all of the triplet formations there are, because this is the same as that, or like that. You see what I'm saying? So then you get to triplets up, and like I said, I have a harder time going up. I mean, it's still something you can do. So like, I can still do it like this when it's like pretty basic. Or, you know, you could just like one-hand it. But yeah, trying to one-hand something like this, like, it's hard to keep the momentum going. So there's one other way that I like to do triplets, typically only up. Sometimes I'll do it going down too, but just, you know, hold the green, forget that's even there, and then tap red, and then tap yellow with the other hand, and then tap blue with the other hand. So yeah, I think that's my favorite way to do most triplets up, especially if they're really complicated ones where, you know, you're like moving it all over the place. Something like that gets much easier to follow if you know you're just handling it one finger at a time, in my opinion. Anyways, let's try and speed this up. When it comes to zigzags, so these, so yeah, most zigzags, especially just in threes, I would say are best to just one-hand it. There's really only, okay, there's 3 ways to do zigzags in my opinion. So, you know, one-handing it, you know, just kind of taking your hand, pretty much locking it into a place, and then just, you know, moving it up and down. That's the one way to do it. And then there's the more complex but more fast way you could do it is to just alternate, go do a zigzag and then do a zigzag with the other hand. I find it really difficult to do a zigzag with your tapping hand because you're like trying to roll it up and back from this angle I just think is really awkward. And then the other way, which is really, I would really only recommend this for like 4s or 5s. But like you could kind of do this. It's not really recommended most of the time, but I mean, you could try it. Like I said, it's better if you have like 4. So you could go like 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll get to that a little bit later. Now for chimneys. So the 3 main patterns to do with, you know, 3 notes is there's the triplets, which is just 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1. And then there's the zigzag, which is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And then there's chimneys, which is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3. So these chimneys are honestly easier than zigzags in a lot of ways. I'm sure a lot of you probably already saw the chimney video, but all it is zigzag, tap, zigzag, tap. So this is what it looks like. Tap, 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 tap. So yeah, it's pretty easy if they're around the same speed. There's another thing called reverse chimneys, which I can't believe I forgot to put in this song. I'll have to put it in the next one, but yeah, that's where that pattern is reversed. But I'll go over that probably next week or so. Alright, so now we get to more triplets. But these ones, I would say you really have to do just the alternating. So like 4, 3, 2, and then 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. So you just take turns with your hands, and since, you know, they line up really well. But then I got them split up. So you really just have to learn to, you know, spread your hands out a little bit. So like right here, you're not just going to be doing the 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, but it's the same concept. You're just going 5, 2, or 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, it's the same thing, but you're just learning how to spread your hands out while doing triplets, basically. Yeah, sweeps down. This is the same concept too, but you're doing it, you know, doubled up. So this is a pattern that I've really been working on a lot in the past few months, and it's something that you'll really want to learn because these kind of sweeps are what you run into when you get into the super hard tapping songs. So basically, when it comes to ones as basic as this, though, it's just like the alternating trips before. Like, you'll still hold green this whole time, even though there's only one green note right there at the end. But yeah, just hold down the green. There's no reason not to. Just go 5, 4, 3 with this hand, and then 4, 3, 2, and then 4, 3, 2, and then 3, 2, 1. So it just looks like a swipe, 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 swipe. So I don't know if you can tell right there. All you're doing with this hand is going 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2. So yeah, it's pretty easy to just keep in your mind that you're not really changing your hands movement up very much. All you're doing is just going, you know, from these three to these three, to these three to these three. And once you get that motion down of just, you know, doing the swipe, going diddle-it, 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 it's pretty easy to remember to just go right, left, left, and then the last one you just kind of go 3-2. So yeah, it's just go 5-4-3, 4-3-2, 4-3-2, 3-2-1. So yeah, this hand just goes 5-4-3 and then 4-3-2. This one goes 4-3-2 and then 3-2-1. It's kind of a lot to take in. But it's pretty fun once you get it down. And then there's the up version, which is just the opposite. So again, just hold down the green. Just go left, right, left, right. So yeah, that's another thing. When it comes down, you're leading with your right hand. But when it goes back up, you're leading with the left hand because you're literally just reversing the motion. But yeah, it's not too bad. And then you got quads down. These are just like triplets. Except, yeah, with fours. So basically all you do is, instead of like just doing the triplets, you're holding green while doing triplets. And there's, of course, there's 3 ways to do it. There's just one-handing it, but at this speed you wouldn't really want to one-hand it. Then of course there's the best way is just to alternate tap. So just 4-3-2, 4-3-2, 4-3-2. But right here is where it starts to get a little complicated because now all of a sudden you have to like stretch your hands in a really awkward way. So you're just going 5-3-2, 5-3-2, 5-3-2. And yeah, it can kind of suck. And it gets even worse when you get to this pattern, because I don't know about you, but like trying to stretch my hands like that is just awful. Like this is one of my least favorite patterns because that formation of 1-2-4-5 just kills me. So what I do instead of trying to, you know, spread my hands around is I just take the top note with this hand and do the rest with this one. So basically all you're doing is just tapping orange while going 4-2-1. So I'll just show you what that looks like when you do the whole pattern like that. But yeah, that whole the tapping thing where you just tap the high note, I really only think is necessary on that one where it's split, like 2 and 2. I mean, I guess you could maybe like do 5-4 and then 2-1, but that's getting like really strange. But yeah, for the most part, it's like you can pretty easily just do this like this. Even this part, I can kind of do it, and then I would switch over to do it that way. And then back to the alternate tapping right here. Anyways, that's just how I do it because of how my hands fit. I just really hate this pattern. Anyways, it's the same thing going up, but again, when it comes to going up like this, I usually like to just swipe up and then tap the highest note, because when you are using this hand for the orange note, you make every pattern much easier. You will never have the Spock formation, the 1-2-4-5. It just becomes a 1-2-4, and a 1-2-4 is much easier than a 1-2-4-5. And so when you just do 1-2-4 and then have this one take care of the 5, then you're making that formation a lot easier. Just to Try and keep that in mind. And then, so we talked about chimneys with 3s, and it's the exact same thing with 4s. You know, it's just tap, zigzag, but you're just zigzagging with a much bigger pattern. And then when you get to this one, then you're just kind of screwed, I guess. I mean, it is possible to do chimneys where like you just constantly tap the high note every time, but it's really hard to stay consistent doing that. So you might just have to learn to do a zigzag all the way up like that. If you are worried about not being able to spread your hand very wide, it is better to like sort of curl your fingers to the side, because that way, you know, you can stretch further doing it that way. If you, you know, turn your fingers to the side, they'll reach further because you're reaching down instead of spreading them out. You can only spread them out so far, but you can, like, you know, you can stretch them downwards a lot further. Zigzags. So yeah, this is just a zigzag. Just one hand this for the most part, or you can, you know, tap the highest note. Okay, quads down. Here's another fun part. This is just like the trips down. I mean, you kind of noticed that we did the 4-2-3-1s, and then the 4-3-2-3-2-1s, and then the 5-4-3-2-4-3-2-1s. They're all very similar patterns. Now this kind of pattern will help your tapping like a lot, because you're training your tapping hand to use all 4 fingers. Like, you're using 8 fingers for this pattern, which is probably more than any other pattern you'll ever do. And yeah, you just gotta get used to the swipes. And then same thing going back up. Yeah, basically that's all it is. And then we get to... Now this is how I like to do the zigzag of 5s. It's just to, you know, take the first 4 notes of this and then tap the highest one. A lot of people still just like one-hand it. Or like, you know, some people will just kind of... I don't know. People do some weird things when it comes to this. Watch like Frosted or Leaf Green do stuff like this, because they'll like hold green and then tap 1 2 or tap 2 3 4 5 4 3 2, and then they'll just move over and do that. So they'll do like the zigzag with the 2 through 5, and then they'll just go back and tap the green. You know, they'll just slide their hand back and forth. But yeah, zigzag 5s is not my best thing. And finally, we get slow ladders, which means we get to do the fun way of doing this. So 4-5-3-4-2-3-1-2. This is another pattern where you use 8 fingers. The way I like to do it is just, you know, just go pinky, pinky, and then next, you know, just use the same fingers but down opposite buttons. Now this style really won't help you when it gets to really fast stuff, but I've talked about chimneys in a lot of other videos, and you'll have to just watch those if you want to know how to do it fast, because they just get really strange. And then just the opposite. Honestly, this is probably the only pattern that I like going up more than down. And this is basically just trills again, but instead of like having to use both hands fighting over the same button, hitting when you're alternating, each hand gets its own button, which I'd say this is even easier than trills. Like sometimes you'll see the parts like this come up in songs that are just really fast, and you're just like able to go like way faster than this. Like here, I'll just show you. I wish that the board speed didn't increase when you sped it up in practice, but yeah, the note speed is ridiculous, but you can kind of tell this kind of pattern is not hard. And I would hardly even call these trails. All you gotta do is tap the note without holding anything. So yeah, it's just like a trail, except instead of holding a green note, whatever, you just have to not hold anything. It's kind of funny that open notes were even like, especially like tap open notes became a thing, because it literally relies on you just not doing anything, which is kind of a hard thing to do when you're playing Guitar Hero. And then the other one, again, it's just like make a quick motion but let go of it really fast. And that does it for Tapping Challenge 1. That's how you play all the sections in it. I'm not sure next week if I'm going to be doing Tapping Challenge 2 or Strumming Challenge 1. And then I'll probably do a Shredding Challenge at some point too. So yeah, I would say that when it comes to Guitar Hero, there's really 3 ways of challenging yourself. You know, there's tapping, shredding, and strumming. And most songs are just mixtures of all of those things. So yeah, we'll see. So keep an eye out for whatever I decide to make next. So thanks for watching.